Richard and I are the creators behind Simple by Lacey. We have been building our company and our dream since 2018. We moved to East Tennessee to build our home from the ground up and to live a more simple and meaningful life. You may have seen our series, Tiny Tour Tuesdays, that we hold on Instagram every Tuesday, showcasing a piece of our home, shop, or land, showing you little glimpses of what we have done thus far. But we wanted to pause on that and bring you back because we have realized we have now shown you the full story of what led to here, and I think that's what matters the most. Our home is beautiful, functional, and full of love, but it is not quite finished to the level that we had envisioned when we first started. And I wanted to take you back to the beginning to show you why, because our journey didn't go quite as it was planned to be. And that's really what shaped us into what we are today. We moved down here April of 2022. It was Richard, my mother, and myself, plus our 4 animals. So it was our dog Abby, my mom's dog Bailey, our 2 cats Nala and Todd. All to raw land with no home there except for my mother's tiny home. So then the first step was getting her tiny home set up. We had to set up her tiny home, then set up our driveway, set up our container so it was livable for us. Our driveway actually had 3 stages. The first stage came during the time of us setting up our container, and then the second and third stage came a little bit later during the middle of our house build. Our envision of being here was putting our actual work on hold, living off of our savings for 2 years. We allotted ourselves 2 years to develop our land and build our home and build our shop. Once we were at that stage, we were going to throw ourselves back into full-time working for Simple, making products and making sure we really had a steady income again. When we moved here April 2022. By January 2023, my mother's health was severely declining. So she had been sick my whole entire life. Ever since I was 7, she was diagnosed and went into surgery for having a brain tumor. And ever since then, she had been severely sick and I had been helping her. I literally remember giving her a bath when I was 7 and caring for her post-surgery. She was able to do a lot of things regularly after that, but when I met Richard 14 years ago, she was in a state of decline. It was just a gradual decline for years, and then the last 5 years, she got aggressively worse. And then when we moved here, she was going up and down in her status. She would have really good weeks and then bad weeks and then a really great month and then a really, really bad month. And by January 2023, we realized her health was quite declining to the point where I brought in more doctors and we discovered she had another form of cancer. In February, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. In May of 2023, she went in for a total hysterectomy, which we thought would be the solution, just eliminate the whole area and get her on chemo following suit. And immediately after surgery, when the surgeon called me, he said that the cancer was everywhere. So they became a terminal situation from that moment on. There was no way for them to get everything. And in July of that year, she passed away. So it was super traumatic and really, really fast. Like I said, she had been sick my whole life, but I feel like within a moment, she was super, super sick and then just gone. So during that time, the whole bulk of the reasoning of this video is that we moved here for Richard and I to both be building and developing this land together, which yes, of course, that did happen. However, I was pushed to really care for my mother. And instead of her stabilizing or, just like staying the same. We didn't anticipate that it was going to be an extreme decline. So from starting in April of 2022 to January, it was an up and down battle of me being able to participate in the house build and balance helping my mother. And then as soon as we hit January of 2023, where she was getting worse, all of my focus went to my mother. And it took a long time, not a long time, it just took a lot of my time going forward until July when she passed away. I pretty much was doing non-stop care for her. I hardly did anything else up until the point where I was hardly sleeping. I think nearing the end, I was getting maybe an hour of sleep per night. So it was very, very intense amount of care and love getting poured into her until her very last moment. I would never change any of that. I wish I had more to give and more time to spend. But, things happen for a reason. And then moving forward from July, I conceived Emma unexpectedly and not trying to in September following suit. So July 21st till the end of somewhere near September 20 area, I was pregnant. So literally 2 months later. And just dealing with that amount of grief, since my mother was like my whole entire soul, and then being sort of hit with the fact that I was pregnant and having to now grow life, it was a emotional battle of a deepening sadness and also a new lookout on life. Also my whole entire world was going to change because of the baby, in a good way, but also just in a different way. Even though I cared for my mother and that was overtaking my life, a baby is a completely different ball game at the same time. And I'm now growing that baby. And so our whole plan of our 2 years allotted time of go, build, ended real fast, where Richard was still building, but it just was slow. And near the end of my mother's life, he helped me tremendously, even in having to lift her head and hold her up while I was changing her and bathing her and changing her sheets. He was so involved in everything. I honestly don't know what I would do without him, what my mother would have done without him. It's something I could never repay to him. It meant the whole entire world. So our house was very important because we needed a place to live, and the container, we were still at that point still using buckets to go to the bathroom in, and we had no shower in there, so we were using our outdoor shower. Thankfully that was complete. But it was like piecing everything together. We were on one property but living in the container, showering at the back of this house, and cooking in my mom's tiny home. So all of our items were spread throughout the whole facility, I will call it, or compound. And it was just sort of like an organized, disorganized matter. Our building tools were all over because, again, he didn't have a shop. So it was a lot. And then during the year that the 42 weeks I was pregnant, it was a lot of comforting, healing, soul renewing, because even for Richard, it was a lot to see someone die, someone so close to us. So we needed a lot of time to heal from that, and then also wrap our minds around the fact that we were about to have a baby. And then also our house was not done. So going forward from there, September we conceived, but we really didn't officially find out until the end of October. And then November, around Thanksgiving, we moved into our house. The rest of that time until July, when our baby was born, so literally a year after my mother died, she was born. So we were slowly getting everything set, but it just, again, we did a lot of healing, a lot of spending time together and supporting each other. So nearing the end of the pregnancy, we went a little bit more into a hyper go mode. We had a list of things we wanted completed in the house. We were trying to have a at-home natural birth, which I labored for 2 days, 48 hours at home, and I could not fully dilate. So I ended up choosing to go to the hospital, not emergency state, but choosing to go to the hospital at the very end because I was at my 42-week mark and this baby was not coming. She wanted to stay in me, which is true to her now because she's suction cupped to me like no other. Like a exclusively breastfed baby as she is. But so it just was, we were in go mode at the very end. We got the last few items that we wanted to complete. I'm very happy we were successful at that. So we were fully prepared. We had an indoor shower. We had our steps leading up from the driveway, so no more dangerous rocky mudslide to walk down and up leaving our house. We had our kitchen, our island, all our cabinets were in. We were able to cook. Our stove was set up. Everything was in place in the kitchen. So we had a functional bedroom, a functional kitchen, we had a functional bathroom. We were all set with that. So that was really great. And moving forward from there, once Emma was born, we were overdue. We were overextended for the time. Now we were hitting into almost the 3-year mark. It was like 2.5 going on to 3 years of not working. So we had to get back to work, working full time, building our products and advertising for our company once again. That being said, a lot of our house is unfinished. It is, again, functional, beautiful, filled with love. Like, I love every aspect of our house, but our full vision of what we started, what we plan to do, is not yet here. Every room has a few projects left to be done. And with that, I realized that instead of touring and just showcasing where we're at right now, I want to take our section where we were showcasing our Tiny Tour Tuesdays and extend it and show you the build from the ground up, because we've never fully showed you that from all of our videos. We have probably like 10,000 or more videos, not joking, of the whole entire build, and then show you where we're at now. So I want to show you side by side the build of a certain section, where we are now in that section, and then tell you what our vision is for the end result once we get it done in that section. So that is going to be our plan going forwards, just so you could see the full entire view from the build to the current to the future of like what our household will be and what our household is, and all of the labor and love that went into it, because that's truly the full story. And I think you deserve to see the full story. I think the full story deserves to be heard and seen, because Richard worked his ass off to create this. Like, when I say blood, sweat, and tears, I literally mean blood, sweat, and tears. Tears were shed by me for sure in many aspects of it. And it's just a true story of love in all manner of something you create from the heart. And I am excited for you to see the full story and really be part of the journey with us. So when we show you the next section of our house, you're not going to just see the tour, you're going to get the behind the scenes, the current, and know what the future holds. And thank you for listening and watching this video all the way through. This is a little like a prelude to what will come in the next few videos. And I am so excited for you to see it all.